All right, in Georgia, y'all, the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, he is suing the mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms, but for a few things. He's saying she violated his executive order by requiring masks in Atlanta. Also, she banned gatherings of more than 10 people, and he says that's a violation of his executive order. He himself has encouraged masks, but he just says he doesn't want them mandatory. He also wants the judge to stop Mayor Bottoms from issuing press releases or making statements to the press that she has the authority to impose more or less restrictive measures than himself. Rebecca, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We've got the governor fighting with trying to, I guess, stop the mayor of a city from protecting the people who live in that city from COVID-19 to the best of her abilities. Which is not, I guess, maybe not even, it's the blueprint. The president has been doing it to the governors of certain states. So this is just kind of like another page in that chapter. But what are your thoughts?
I'm actually doing it.
I think the first thing we have to remember is Brian Kemp is only the governor of Georgia because of voter suppression, right? So he forced his way into this position of leadership and is now doing the exact opposite of what the people of his state need from a purely like public health perspective. And it's obviously like the fact that, you know, he's coming up against a Black woman mayor of a Black city and trying to like intervene in these like public health measures. It's about white supremacy and control and these same things that we've been talking about, but also in the same way as Trump, like a very like petty, egotistical way of like, how dare she get on camera and say that she has like authority to disagree with me? And so it's just, again, the same system trying to protect itself, in this case, to the detriment of the people it's supposedly supposed to serve. Because like white Georgians are not safe right now. You know, they're going to die in large numbers, in part because of these policies. So I think we're just kind of at this endpoint of white supremacy where it's like the power is shifting and they're scared and they're clamping down in ways that don't make any sense because it's motivated by fear.
Right. Definitely.
Lavanya, I think there was also like a shift in the conversation, a little bit of more like people were like, felt like, aha, because initially it was, he was upset that she was requiring masks and she was making a tighter order than he had. And then it was, but also I want her to stop talking to the press.
I mean, somebody has to make it make sense because it doesn't make sense. Right? I could just never fathom, first of all, how wearing masks at this point has become a political issue. And I think like that's where we're at. And so as already stated, like they're putting so many people in danger by doing so. Or we see yet again where like the lives of the minority are just really dispensable, right? Well, only 2% of children are going to die, or only 1% of the adult population are going to die from the coronavirus or COVID-19. And so we can see where these likely marginalized, but at least minority populations are once again being, marginalized, oppressed, whatever, not cared about. And then we also see Black women, per usual, trying to save the day. But I mean, none of it makes sense, and it's disappointing that people's lives get reduced to politics with the way that he's navigating this issue. And whatever argument that is there about not making it mandatory or not wearing a mask, like it just doesn't make sense. I've actually had time to. I do a lot of my work in hospitals, and so I spent a lot of time in an infectious disease clinic, especially at the onset of the pandemic. And one of the things that we know is like, okay, people are saying, well, I can't breathe, or it's lowering my O2 rates, and but then they're also
that argument makes no sense.
Yeah, but then they're also saying like the masks are not productive, or from blocking the particles. But one, we're talking about particles of two different sizes, and so either you can't breathe or the masks don't work. Like, but you can't have both.
Yeah,
literally doesn't make sense. And that's what we're all like. A lot of this doesn't make sense because well, and let me say, white supremacy makes a lot of sense, right? We understand the function and the utility, but as it's like shape shifting, as we talked about, some of it doesn't make sense. And so like at this point in time, the governor is not even protecting the people that would be his constituents, which also, doesn't make sense. You're acting against your own self-interest if we want to look at it, in that way. But none of this makes sense. And reducing politics is problematic.
When people say like I can't breathe, wearing something over your face for a very long period of time, sure, it's not going to be comfortable. Wearing a hat is not always comfortable for me. But the point is that you're still supposed to be staying at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like you're not supposed to be wearing a mask all day because you're supposed to be at home. And the people who can't be at home, I don't see any of them complaining. They're dying for the rest of us to help protect them. So yeah, I feel like that it's just people just want to be able to do what they want to do because you can always go home. You're supposed to be at home.
Yeah.
You can order delivery. You can sit in your car and call the grocery store. Some of them will bring your stuff out to you. Like you're supposed to be at home. Like what are you doing? I wish people would stay at home.
Right.
Yeah, so this can be over and I can go get a haircut.
Right.
That's
I just wish people would stay at home.
this needs to be over.
I know.
I'm over it. I'm so over it.
OJ, let's do Out of Africa.